everyone, I'm Anne and I'm also one of this year's GATE Fellows. What I learned was that it all boils down to stakeholders. At Fashion Weeks, the intentions of a brand is to sell fantasy, the idea of escape, and create shock value. There is a huge gap between the viewers of these shows and those who actually generate sales and profits for the brand. The loyal customer base that often comprises of more conservative, less aware, but affording customers who the brand is too scared to upset. For new brands, the struggle is different. The struggle is finding investors who care about the cause, because in many parts of the world, like in India, there are so many socio-economic factors and stigmas that keep certain gender groups away from decent paying jobs. And so, for new founders, pursuing this target market is risky because it means inconsistent profits, and that would not appeal to investors at all. And that's not where it stops. My research also indicated that all of these stereotypes and biases are only reinforced by the systems in place in businesses. I learned that with the rapid digitization and the introduction of AI, everything is now automated in many firms, whether it's manufacturing, planning, or design. While this technology has made it possible for companies to operate at light speed without error, it also reinforces biases. Today, in many companies, models and AI are used to forecast future sales based on historical records. As my interview indicated, these systems don't take into account the fact that conversations around gender and the environment are evolving, and therefore demand for sustainable, inclusive clothing is also changing. The problem is, brands are afraid to cause any disruption in these systems and technologies they've invested so much in building, because much of their success has been attributed to these models to begin with.
Everyone, I'm Simone. I am a full-time MBA student and a GATE Student Fellow.
Toxic positivity exists. It is there. It exists in social media, so it's going to find its way into our workplaces eventually. What is happening, though, is that there are companies who apparently are using it in an institutionalized way, in a systematic way, to kind of change the focus from the company structure into the individual themselves, and then just tell people to keep focusing and being more productive, right? So this is a quote that I got. Someone mentioning that they had experienced toxic positivity in organizational cultures that continue to promote things like mindfulness as a solution to crushing workloads. So toxic positivity is basically being used by the company to do something like, okay, I'm doing my part. I'm giving you 15 minutes to meditate during lunch. So now you can do your part as well and continue being productive and focus on work. So there is a systematic use of toxic positivity in workplaces. And then finally, toxic positivity is really not harmless. So my general feeling is that companies are using it systematically, but just as a way to motivate their employees. But toxic positivity encounters, they have undesired effects both for individuals. So we can see here that individuals who have experienced toxic positivity, they felt unspoken pressure to change their feelings at work. They were uncomfortable taking paid time off, taking sick days, stopping working at the end of the day. So it's obviously not healthy for the individuals. And it's not healthy for companies as well, because it impacts business metrics such as absenteeism, such as productivity. They get a higher turnover. So it's really not doing the job of a harmless motivational technique.
And I'm Zolzai. I also go by Zoe. I am a proud MBA GATE Fellow for this year. So when I looked at this first question, are fintechs able to appeal to and serve more female customers than the traditional methods? I found that no, they are not, right? So long story short, but we found that women are actually less likely to access fintech services than men, which is an interesting finding, because you would think that with technology, you would be able to lower the obstacles, and with digitalization, you would be able to have more reach. And part of this is more of a structural problem than anything. So one of the factors was that women generally tend to lack financial confidence. So only 31% of Canadian women stated that they're confident about their financial knowledge, which is in comparison to 49% of men, even though they scored about the same on financial literacy quizzes. So the knowledge is the same, but the confidence is lower. So maybe they're less likely to make that move towards fintech usage. In terms of my main takeaways, I've learned that it's not just technology, it's not just innovation, it's not just digitalization. Inclusion and focus on women and their customer experience has to be built in to the vision of the company as well as the vision of the product. There needs to be this focus on making sure, okay, if we do this, who might we be leaving out? If we make this kind of a product decision, does it serve a particular type of person at the exclusion of another particular type of person? So I thought this was a really interesting finding. I was going in completely expecting technology to be like a panacea to this problem, and it definitely isn't. It's just a tool. So I think the main ideology, the main idea, the main vision still needs to be kind of built into the company.
Hi, my name is Bilal Habib. I'm a third-year morning evening student. I've seen a lot of men be repelled by words like feminism and gender equality. At the same time, I see a lot of men suffering, right? They're suffering mentally, with identity. They have self-esteem issues. We often lash out by self-medicating or by, sometimes abusing our loved ones. And also, I often find that a lot of us struggle with soft skills, and this harms not only our personal lives, but also our professional lives. So I interviewed a bunch of scholars in the field, and my interview showed that there is a strong connection, right? So what I wanted to do was study not only how we can create a kinder world for men, but highlight how we can better highlight this value, the value of this kinder world by showing them the possibilities and arguing, no, it's actually not just responsibilities with gender equality, even though that is a part of it. It's also exciting. You get to develop different parts of yourself and enjoy a wider range of experiences, and your health will probably be better. A lot of them were highlighted the importance of socializing children from an early age, not putting restrictions as far as gender go, but also developing that side of them, from developing the side of them that is traditionally, thought of as feminine, like their emotional intelligence, their ability to express their feelings, to know that it's okay, it's not outside of the bounds of manliness. And once we start doing a better job with that, we need to support men in adulthood so that they can make some of these transitions, right? So they can make these transitions in work and in childcare and in the household. Once our institutions start supporting them, which Professor Gerson was arguing, then it'll also become more likely that men will jump on board, right? It's not only that they're resisting, it's also we're not really making it easy for them either.
I'm Alexandra Bogatinov. I was an MBA fellow this past year. We were really interested in learning more about entrepreneurship and the gender differences in that space. And that led us to develop a scale-up toolkit to help women entrepreneurs use talent to grow their business. The research studies, some of the things that we heard in general were that women prefer very slow and deliberate growth. They want it to be very meaningful. They are shifting from generalist to specialist roles, and they view labor as a very strategic asset, but they are stuck in survival mode, and they also lack the capacity and the resources to implement those HR practices. Some of the key challenges the biggest challenges were really around hiring new staff. And there were two elements that we looked at. On one hand, it was more the skills, experiences, and qualifications. And on the other hand, it was finding the right cultural fit, which seemed to be the primary challenge. When we took a look at this challenge, one of the things that came up was hiring diverse candidates. So I know we talked about this a little bit, but despite the labor shortages, 60% of SMEs don't effectively recruit, train, and retain diverse talent like women or immigrants, people with disabilities. And that there are also some stats here that we include around candidates with foreign sounding names are 40% less likely to be interviewed in small organizations. 40% of immigrant engineers are underemployed. And then university grads with disabilities have very, very low employment opportunities. And so this was one of the ways that we thought would be a good idea to address the labor shortage. And we've also included some diversity job boards and then also freelance platforms that can be used to get some of that specialized talent.